Good afternoon. It's about 12:15 on May 6th, and I'm back making another video. It's a beautiful day. It's about 61 degrees now, and I'm starting this video at the dock of the Harbor View restaurant. And I'm starting it here because it gives another perspective on the Cape May Harbor. Straight off in the distance where you see that water tower is the Coast Guard. You can see a couple of Coast Guard ships docked over there. A little bit to the right of the water tower is the Corinthian Yacht Club that I talked about on a previous video. And all the way off in the distance toward that water tower, if you can see it on the video, way off in the distance, that is the marina where the lobster house is, and the party boats dock, and various other ships, or other boats, I guess, not ships. But I've given views of the Cape May Harbor from other perspectives, but not from this side of the harbor. So that's the point of starting this video here, just to give this this perspective on the harbor. And I'm going to take a ride over to a place called, this is the Harbor View Restaurant and Bar. I'm going to take a ride over to a place called Weeks Landing. I think it has some interest, at least to me, and anyone that's interested in this, in the history of this community, might find it interesting. And there's some connections to other videos that I've made. So there's sort of three aspects of Weeks Landing that I think are worthy of commenting on this video. One is sort of the history of this. There's three historical aspects of this. One, the oldest, refers to the name Weeks Landing, and I think that Weeks Landing was named after Richard Wicks. Richard Wicks was the brother of Lambert Wicks, who was in the Continental Army and was the captain of the Reprisal, which was the first ship in the United States Navy, and it came to the aid of the brigantine Nancy, which I mentioned that, and if you look at a video that I made on the Battle of Turtle Gut, there's a memorial to the Nancy at what was then Turtle Gut Inlet, and it was, to the best of my knowledge, the only battle of the Revolutionary War that was fought in Cape May County. And a brief recap of what I said in that video, and you can look on the videos that I've posted if you care to see that site. It's up in Wildwood Crest. And I mentioned in the title of the video, it's the Battle of Turtle Gut Inlet. But basically, the Nancy was a ship that was returning to Philadelphia with supplies and gunpowder and everything for the Continental Army, coming back up to, trying to get up the Delaware River via the Delaware Bay. but the British had basically quarantined entry to the Delaware Bay. So 2 British frigates, I think it was the Kingfisher and the Ophelius, or Ophrus, I'm not sure the name of that, gave chase to the Nancy, and it ran up the coast and turned into what was then Turtle Gut Inlet, which separated the 2 miles from the 5 miles of Wildwoods. And the battle took place. The Nancy was destroyed, and the story was that the captain of the Nancy, along with help from sailors from the Reprisal, captained by Lambert Wicks, basically offloaded all the supplies that they wanted to get up to Philadelphia to the Continental Army, and they rigged the ship to blow up so that when the sailors from the 2 British frigates boarded the Nancy, it blew up and killed a lot of the British soldiers. And anyway, the brother of the captain of the ship, the Reprisal, which again was the first ship in the United States Navy, he was at that battle of Turtle Gut and was shot and wounded and subsequently died from his injuries. And he was actually the first casualty in New Jersey of the Revolutionary War. And anyway, the story goes that he was buried in Cold Springs at the site of the Presbyterian Church there in the late 1700s, or the mid 1700s, I guess. There's a site there that marks his burial, Richard Wicks, and the story goes that Weeks Landing, Weeks got its name from Richard Wicks. Weeks Landing Road and Weeks Landing is in Cold Springs. So that's one aspect of it. The second aspect is this spot, Weeks Landing Road, was the subject of some litigation in the mid-1900s, whereby the local government, Lower Township, sued property owners there who tried to cordon off the road, Weeks Landing Road, basically taking the position that the township had abandoned it and not maintained it, and it was therefore private property. It was not a public use highway. And this went to litigation and was decided in, I think it was 1951, and the court ruled that it was public use, a public use highway. So from that point forward, the public could have access to it. And at the time, it was farmland there. And as you'll see, when you follow Weeks Landing Road to its end, it ends at a place called Weeks Landing, and that was a spot where supplies would be loaded onto boats that would then take them over to 5 Mile, to Wildwood, through the Back Bay. And over the years, actually for the last documented 75 years prior to the court case in 1951. So this is going back to around the time of the Revolutionary War, the Civil War in the around 1860. It was a popular spot for locals to fish and crab, and I just missed Weeks Landing Road, so I'll have to go up and turn around. They would, and Reeves, this hotel, Reeves Hotel, by the way, Reeves was the name of the litigants with Lower Township, claiming that Weeks Landing Road was not a public use highway. But anyway, Weeks Landing was a spot where locals would fish and crab and oyster and clam, in addition to a spot being where supplies would be loaded onto boats and taken over to the barrier island long before there was roadways. So that was a little bit of the history of Weeks Landing from sort of the Civil War time up until 1951, when that litigation against Reeves, the family Reeves, occurred. And then fast forwarding even more, until several years ago, this stretch of road after I turned left up here was just a field, and it used to be the location where the banner planes that you see flying along the Jersey coast would come in and pick up those banners and take them to fly up and down the coast. Now, the retrieval of these banners was a sight to see, and I remember taking my kids over there. These planes that they use for banner planes do not even look flight worthy. They are in bad shape, and it's hard to believe that they even fly. But they come in close to the deck, close to the ground, and they have these banners laid out on this ground here to my left before this was developed. And the banners would be laid out and connected to a string that was run between two poles, and the planes would have a hook on them, and they would come along the deck. The hook would catch the rope of the banner, and the planes would then go almost straight up in the air. And it was always something to see, because they would go almost vertical, and you would think that they were going to stall out. I mean, they as soon as they picked up the banner, they would go straight up in the air and then level off. And it was a popular thing and a free thing to bring young kids to watch. And I know my kids always got a kick out of seeing it, and I always got a kick out of watching it as well. And this is all built up now, as you can see, with these homes. So these weren't here at the time. And it was this ground right here, right along the left side of this road, is where these banner planes would come in. I don't know where they do that now. They don't do it here, obviously, and it's a pretty carefully guarded secret where these operations have moved to. You still see the banner planes all summer long, but I don't know where they're where they move the operation to, where they pick up these banners. I wish I knew where they were, because I think my grandkids would get a kick out of seeing it. And this is Weeks Landing Road, and coming down to the end, I'm not going to go all the way down to the water, but I'll stop the bike and get off and walk down to the water, as long as there's nobody down there. And this is Weeks Landing, where I'm walking down to now. And when you're coming south on the Parkway, at about mile 3 or so, you can look over and you still see people fishing here and clamming and crabbing. I'll show you. You can see the Parkway. See the cars coming through. That's about mile 3 or mile 2.9 south on the Parkway. And this water would take you out into the back bays, and you could go all the way over. Actually, you could go all the way out to the Atlantic Ocean if you wanted to. You could take this water over through the back bays, into Cape May Harbor and out the inlet and into the Atlantic Ocean. But this was the way that they would get supplies onto the barrier islands, loading them on boats from here. And this is still, a popular place to. It's not uncommon at all to see cars parked down here, and people, you can see there's lots of room for cars here, people fishing here. So this is Weeks Landing. So that's a little bit about the history of Weeks Landing. Dating all the way back to its name being derived from Richard Wicks, who happened to be involved in the Battle of Turtle Gut, again, which is a video that I made that you can see, and the memorial to it is up in Wildwood Crest. And there's the Parkway right through these trees. So that's it. Quick ride from the Harbor View Restaurant and Bar down to Weeks Landing. Hope you enjoyed this little video. And the more you learn about this community, the more ties there are to important historical events in the U.S. So thanks for watching, and I will be back again with another video in the not too distant future.